All right, man, peace. So the Boston Celtics, they've struggled a bit in the early portion of this NBA regular season. And I think that their coach, Brad Stevens, has been struggling with the excessive amount of talent that they have on their squad, but they only have talent in one direction, that being their wing players. They have too much of the same type of player. And on top of that, I believe that he's been pressured by Danny Ainge to play Gordon Hayward because of the amount of money that they're paying Gordon, in addition to the fact that, in my view, they're shopping him. Now, shout out to a lot of brothers who come on my channel and inform me about the Rose Rule, which stops teams from being able to trade for superstar level players within a certain amount of time. I can't quite remember what the exact parameters are. One of you brothers can correct me on that, but shout out to you brothers who've been correcting me about that Rose Rule law that the NBA has that stops teams from trading for more than one superstar. Point being is this: either way, I do believe that they're trying to shop Gordon Hayward, but you're not going to find out about it until the trade has been actualized. In the meantime, Brad Stevens has decided that he's going to start Marcus Smart alongside Kyrie Irving. And I believe that Brad Stevens is doing that as a way to say, Kyrie, we need you on offense, but your defense leaves a lot to be desired. We've seen multiple games that the Celtics have lost because of Kyrie's bad defense. So it's very clear that Marcus Smart has been put into the starting lineup to try to alleviate a lot of that defensive pressure on Kyrie. Because you can't expect Kyrie to score 30 points a game and then guard Kemba Walker and guard John Wall and guard Victor Oladipo. That's not going to work. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Let's talk about the Celtics beating the Pelicans last night after inserting Marcus Smart into the starting lineup. Paul, we've seen Brad Stevens play with these rotations before, but wow, Marcus led all Celtics with 40 minutes played, and according to Kyrie Irving, gave the Celtics a big boost. Here is what Kyrie said after the game, quote, "When he is playing with me," that's Marcus, "we play pretty well together at the 1 and 2. So defensively and offensively, I feel like he brings our numbers up."
That's interesting. So what Kyrie seems to be implying is that maybe he went to Brad Stevens and told Brad Stevens that maybe they should consider starting Marcus Smart, because he truly seems to be putting forth a sentiment in this comment that not only does he agree with it, but he seemed to have been an advocate for it.
Kyrie was right. The Celtics were a plus 17 with Kai and Smart on the court. So, I don't know. Byron, you're the coach. Would you keep him there? Gordon was on the bench to start the game last night. Is that something?
Well, you have to keep Marcus Smart there until they're no longer successful. Gordon Hayward is a nice player. He was never a great player. At best, he was a good player with the Utah Jazz. Coming off of that horrific injury that he suffered last season in the first game when LeBron James submarined him, he's not been the same. I doubt if he'll ever be the same because he was never a transcendent athlete to begin with. So in the meantime, the Boston Celtics have very high aspirations for themselves. So they have to respond relatively quickly once they're able to deduce who has certain shortcomings and who's hurting the team in certain areas.
Something, nothing, or everything?
Well, I think it's something. And I think, with Marcus out there, he does, elevate them on the defensive end because he's a lockdown defender. He's one of the toughest guys. I mean, he brings that element to the game. So it gives them that identity that they had last year on the defensive end where they made their name and they were such a efficient defensive team last year, along with being an efficient offensive team. I think they're trying to get back to that. And sometimes you have to make certain changes to see if it works. And I think last night was evident that it did work. And if I'm Brad Stevens, I'm going to stick with it a little while longer, see how it works, see how it plays out.
The good thing,
you have to stick with it a while longer.
Good thing about having Smart out there, it gives them a player out there with a defined role. So he's
in other words, Paul Pierce is saying, much like how I've been saying, they have too many of the same type of player out there on the basketball court at the same time. Everybody wants to face up and score 18 to 24 points, and you can't have too many players out on the basketball court with that mindset.
Defender, he can knock down shots, he's a ball handler. You have these other guys, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Gordon, they're all kind of like stars. You go to their
wannabe stars.
They're go-to guys. So you bring in a guy, and it's just like saying sometimes less is more. He's not as talented as a Gordon or Tatum, but he has a defined role and he plays winning basketball.
I mean, to your point, Kyrie saying, I like playing with him because we all know who's taking the shot.
Right.
Absolutely, and we also all know who's going to be guarding up the opposing team's great offensive point guard.
Right. He has a defined role. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to come up and take the next 5 shots. He's going to be a hard-nosed defender who can make shots and make some plays. But
he can shoot, by the way. I'm not implying that he can't, but it's the last 5 seconds.
Paul is right. Exactly. Paul's right. He does understand that when he's in the game, first priority for him, shut down somebody.
Right.
Absolutely.
On that defensive end. Second priority for him is be physical and aggressive. Third priority, if I got open shots, I'm going to take it. If I get a rebound, I'm going to push it.
Right.
And
Marcus Smart is also that player that you love if he's on your team, but you hate him if he's not. Because he's going to play great defense, he's going to make big shots, and he's going to flop.
Right. And I'm going to look for the open guys. So,
Kyrie.
yeah, exactly. So he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do when he's out there. So I agree with Paul as far as he knows exactly what he is when he's on the basketball court, and that defines everybody else's role when they're there as well.
And look, I'm not sure this is a long-term solution because Gordon Hayward is going to round back into form, we think. And by the way, Jaylen Brown's hurt right now, so he's going to need to get back in too. But you don't need a long-term solution. The Celtics needed a right-now solution. They needed to go. This was a 1-1 road trip that's now a 2-1 road trip.
Yeah, the Celtics, they have to really try to keep their heads above water and hope that they can string off some victories in a row. Because they're in danger if they're not careful of having 3 separate teams run away with the conference. And the Celtics, I'm sure, are confident, but they don't want to go into the playoffs as the 4th seed or even the 5th seed.
So that's good, and they're above 500 instead of below 500. They needed that right now. They got it. Last but not least.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see how things go with the Celtics lineups. I still believe that they're going to try to pull off a major trade. Of course, it's not going to be for Anthony Davis, according to the brothers who informed me about the Rose Rule, but I'm sure that it's going to be for somebody else. So peace.